All right, we got a 2013 Mazda CX-5 in here, getting front brakes and a lower control arm ball joint assembly. The ball joint's pretty loose on it, so I'll show you that real quick, and then we'll go about changing it. It's pretty easy on these, so should be a pretty short video, but anyway, we'll go about changing it. All right, so we're under it here on the passenger side. You can kind of look right here where the ball joint's at. I'm just going to move the wheel around a little bit. You can kind of see the whole wheels moving. And see if I can get a better shot. I don't know if it's picking it up or not. It should be, but you see that whole ball joint's loose. At first I thought maybe it was a tie rod, but if you look at the tie rod over there, there's no play in that. It's just all in this lower ball joint. So we're going to go ahead and change out this lower control arm ball joint assembly real quick and make this thing safe again. All right, so I got the wheel off. I'm just going to go ahead and take this lower ball joint bolt out first. It's a 14 millimeter on the other side, the nut. And I've already got my impact loaded, and I broke it loose already. So it's off. So I'm just going to put the nut back on and tap on the bolt. Hopefully it comes loose. If not, I'm going to put my impact on this side and run it. Try to break the bolt loose a little bit. Sometimes if they're rusty, they'll get kind of stuck in there. This one doesn't look too bad. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick and remove that bolt. I'm not going to show it on camera because I don't have my my batteries aren't charged for my good camera. I don't have a camera holder for this camera. So basically just take the nut out, and then it might be a good idea to soak it down too at first, and then get this bolt out. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to try to knock it out the other way with a hammer. I'm not going to hit super hard because I don't want to mess the threads up. If it doesn't want to come, I'll put the impact on this side and loosen it up a little and then work it out. All right, so I did struggle with this a little more than I thought I wasn't going to originally. I went ahead and removed the brake caliper. The main reason why I did that is because I wanted to get an extension and a socket on this, and then put my big impact on it, which is right there, and break it loose. So I ended up heating it up a little bit with a torch, and then breaking it loose with my big impact. But this was pretty well stuck in there. You know, you may have to get a torch or let it soak a little bit. I guess rust just gets in through this gap here, which is pretty common on these Mazdas and Fords and stuff, and makes it hard to get the bolt out. But now I got the nut out, or I got the bolt loose, broke it loose and got it out, almost out. So anyway, that's what I did. I just removed the caliper. I got to put brakes on this anyway, so it's not a big deal. But even if it is, it's only two 14 millimeter bolts, and just move it out of the way, and you know, you can get something in there to get it loose. So put an impact on if you have it. If not, maybe just get a nice ratchet and a breaker bar or something, and keep putting pressure on until it finally breaks loose. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and remove that out, and then I'll get a pickle fork in here. We're not worried about this ball joint boot or anything, and we'll hopefully separate it. All right, so I just got a pickle fork in there. I'm just driving in between the lower control arm and the ball joint here, or the spindle, and I'm just going to beat on this till the ball joint releases from here. You have to pull down on this a little bit, and then we'll be able to get the control arm away from that, and then get the bolts off for the control arm. All right, you can see on this car, it's missing that door, or access panel for the oil filter. The bolt you got to get for the control arm is right there. So all I did was take out a couple of these 10 millimeters around the perimeter of the shield, and a couple of the push clips on the back. And I'm just going to pull this down out of the way a little bit. And right there is your, I believe it's 21 millimeter. Let me double check that. We're just trying to get access to that bolt right there, though. That's the front control arm bolt. So let me get the socket and impact, and we'll see if we can get it off. I'll tell you what size it is. All right, so I just got a 3-inch extension and a 19 millimeter on my impact here, and I got the shield kind of out of the way. It's going to be kind of loud here, but it's good to have an impact on something like this. If you don't have an impact, it's going to be a little more time consuming. Cranking away by hand. But this is the bolt that goes to the front. And then there's two back there, two 19s. I think they're the same size that we'll go for next. All right, so I got these two 19s in the back. One's pretty long. I think it's been a while since I've done one of these, but one of them is pretty long. And I believe this is a short one here. Yeah, that's a short one. And then this one here is a pretty long one. All right, now that's out. Now all we got to do is just kind of pull this control arm out. You might have to beat on it a little bit, but it should come out pretty easily. Unless yours is real rusty or you're in the rust bucket. We're kind of in the rust area here, but it's not as bad as what I see on some of the other shops deal with on the East Coast or the northern parts. So this one should pull out pretty easily. All right, so before I put the new control arm up there, I went ahead and bent the not bent, but tapped on the ball joint, the end that goes into the controller or into the spindle. I tapped it more at an angle like this. It makes it easier to get it up in there. So then I just kind of started it right here, got it in the hole there, and started over there. I got one of the bolts in already. So that's pretty much lined up right now. And then all you got to do now is just put the 3 bolts back in. And this one did come with a new cinch bolt for the ball joint, so that's kind of nice. We have to reuse that one that we kind of beat on a little bit. We could have reused it. It's not in that bad shape, but yeah. So the only trick I can say about getting the control arm up is just bend the ball joint. Not bend it, but manipulate the ball joint so it's pointed like an angle about like this, probably about 90-degree angle. And then it'll make it go into this spindle a lot easier. So I'm just going to go ahead and start all the bolts, and then we'll tighten them up. So I got that one started. So I'm just going to put the 19 up there, and we'll go ahead and run this one tight. And then we'll run these other 2 tight real quick. Really wish I had a camera stand for this camera. So we're just going to these back 2 bolts, and we're just going to tighten these up. All right, and then we'll get the new pinch bolt and put this ball joint bolt back in. Make sure the ball joint's sealed all the way in there. This one's sealed, so there's no greasing or anything. So I'm just going to get that new pinch bolt, put that in, then we're done. All right, once you get your ball joint bolt back in, of course, the one they gave us was 15 mil instead of 14. They could never give you the same size. So I just went ahead and torqued this down. There's a nut on the other end. And then you're pretty much done. All you got to do is just double check your work. Don't forget to put your shield back up. Like I said, this one's missing on this one, but I did take out 3 or 4 bolts on this shield and pulled it out of the way. I didn't take it all the way down, but I did take this side off a little bit. Got those 2 in the back, you torque up, and then you're good to go. So it's pretty simple. Probably not the greatest video because I didn't have my normal camera, but this will at least give you a general idea what tools you need and what you're looking at. And the ball joint on the other control arm did come off of the control arm. It was so loose that the control arm came off and the ball joint was still up there. And I used a air hammer and got the ball with a ball joint separator attachment on it and got it out. You could spread this a little bit. Once the control arm's out of the way, there's a little slot. You could stick a little chisel in there and spread it a little bit, but you got to be real careful with that. You don't want to go too far, and that will help make it come out if you don't have that. So this was more of a challenge than I thought it was going to be. As far as getting the bolt out, it was pretty rusted in there, and then the ball joint was pretty rusted into the actual cup there. So that was more of a challenge. I didn't show a lot of that on the camera because, like I said before, I don't have the holder for this particular camera. So it may seem like I glossed over it, and hopefully you won't have as much trouble. I think if you're in the Rust Belt, you'll have a lot of trouble. And then this one wasn't horrible, but it wasn't didn't just pop out like they should. It was definitely trying to hold on in there and create problems. So anyway, that's it for this one. I'm going to go ahead and put brakes on this thing and be done with it. So thanks for watching. As always, God bless.